Yo, I want to talk about the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space! I like this set. So much so, in fact, that I bought a box of it just to be opened on the channel. I got a lot of comments on my spoiler card reaction video for the set because I said that Magic the Gathering had a fantasy focus, and I pointed out that one of the main problems with so-called hat sets is that they've sometimes sacrificed or substituted that high fantasy vibe for pure genre tropes, leaving the set feeling less like an actual canonical Magic expansion and more like, well, dress up where the characters wear a detective hat or whatever. People were quick to point out that, well, actually, Brothers War had giant mechs, Neon Dynasty had cyberpunk elements, and Duskmourn was 80s retro horror inspired. Even older sets like Phyrexia are more sci-fi than fantasy when you think about it. And yeah guys, I know, that was the point I was making in the video. I'm literally using the same frames of animation to make the same point again here. But that misunderstanding's on me though. Enough of you commented correcting me for me to know that obviously it was a failing of communication on my part. So for the confusion, I apologise. Because I think Edge of Eternities nails it. It's why I like the set. Magic the Gathering is at its best when it takes those fantasy roots and puts a spin on it using a new genre or subgenre. Lean too far into it or fail to explain the fantasy connection enough and we end up with Queen Marchesa inexplicably donning a Stetson for no other reason than cowboys being the throwaway flavour of the month. Edge of Eternities, to my mind, doesn't do that, and manages to be a space opera without feeling like a thinly veiled Universes Beyond set. There's actually a really great article by the set's design team lead, Ethan Fleischer, that I'll link below, which I think is worth a read, as it talks about the distinction they made when designing the set between illusions and tropes. That distinction will be subjectively different for everyone, of course, but for me, it's a thin line between a set I feel doesn't work and a set I feel does, with quite frankly Duskmourn probably sitting directly atop that line, but that's a video for another day. The reason I bring all this up in reference to Edge of Eternities though is once again to sing its praises. I think it nailed it. And I haven't even finished listening to the narrative yet, but I am shocked at how gory it is. That Kavu dude who gets sliced in half down the middle while his crew watch, and how it takes them a moment to realise the white they can see on him is his skull as his skin begins to peel away. Or the description of what happens to Ephariel's sister, and how blood begins to erupt from every orifice as she's stretched and crushed by the event horizon of a black hole. Jesus wept! Like, old school Magic was grimdark and gory, so I guess I'm in favour of it. I'm just surprised to see WotC go this hard narratively, especially given the overall colourful tone of the cards. Another thing I got comments on in that video is how I kept saying things felt Commandery, and while I continue to agree with that statement, it's not normally when I would make in a video without fully explaining myself. That's just the nature of doing something unscripted, I'm afraid. Now, I'm still not going to fully explain myself here either, because it's too big a topic to fully cover today, but in brief, the words "whenever you cast your second spell each turn" to my mind started appearing much more frequently around the same time WotC seemed to shift focus from standard to commander, so I associate the two. And I also think the power creep we've seen in recent years, including in this set, is due to commander's popularity over standard. When standard was king, WotC could rely on people constantly buying new cards due to rotation. Commander doesn't rotate, however, and so they need power creep to sell sets and ensure a constant flow of revenue. Power crept card equals commander card, at least to my mind. And I feel we can all acknowledge there's certainly some power creep in Edge of Eternities, and the set is certainly commander legal, but does that mean that it's actually a commander set in disguise? Well, the best way to find out is a 12-pack Commander Scramble. If you know what that is, feel free to skip this part, but if you're unfamiliar with a Commander Scramble, then I'll tell you. The game is simple. Open 12 packs and not including basic lands, see if we can pull enough cards for a complete and legal commander deck. We're going to use play boosters to do it, which I believe can include cards from Edge of Eternities, Stellar Sights, and the special guest list. And good news, because none of the potential cards in these boosters are banned in Commander, which means we can use whatever we pull here today to build our deck. However, the challenge comes in with the numbers. Commander is a singleton format with decks that require 100 cards. Because we don't know what kind of deck we're going to build yet, 37 of these 100 we're going to assume are lands, because that's a decent average number of lands for any Commander deck. And technically these lands could all just be basics, so we're not really interested in any land cards that we get from these packs today. There'll be a nice bonus, but whatever. So this means that we need 63 unique non-land cards to make up this deck. Pulling 2 copies of the same card is often good for draft, but it'll be bad for us here due to the singleton nature of the format. Now the chance of us pulling 63 unique cards of one colour from 12 packs is very improbable, potentially impossible, so if we assume our deck is 2 colours and don't include our commander, that means we need to pull 31-ish unique cards of each colour to make the deck, less when you factor in colourless or multicolour cards. doable, but really what we're hoping to pull is at least a 3-colour commander. That works out to only be about 20-ish unique cards of each colour, again not factoring in colourless or multicolour. And those numbers are a bit more achievable here. Will a deck with literally every card from at least 2 colours across 12 packs be a good commander deck? Probably not, but will it be legal? Yes, if we can do it. And the first step in discovering if we can is finding our commander, which for our best chance of success will have to be one of these 2 cards, who, unless I've missed any, are all the cards from the set that can be the commander for a 3 or more colour deck. In fact, both of them could actually be the commander of a 5-colour deck, meaning with either of them we'd be able to add literally every card we pull, making our chances of building a deck almost guaranteed. However, Sliver Overlord is from the special guest list, so the chance of pulling that is very unlikely, leaving only Infinite Guideline Station as our sole best chance, so... spoilers guys, I don't think we're going to make this one. There are 10 other creatures which could be the commander of a 2-colour deck, but statistically we probably won't pull enough cards from 2 colours to be enough. Meaning, hey, good news! Aside from the power creep, it looks like Edge of Eternities probably isn't a commander set in disguise. But enough speculation, let's get my assistant Dr. Hans to open up some packs for us to find out for ourselves. Starting with... Pack 1. As usual, Dr. Hans has laid these out as he's opened them. These 6 cards are our commons. This 7th card is also a common, but it has a 1.8% chance of instead being a special guest card. We have 3 uncommons, 1 wild card of any rarity that has a 75% chance of just being another common or uncommon, 1 guaranteed rare or mythic with an 80.4% chance of only being the rare, 1 traditional foil of any rarity, 90% chance of being a common or uncommon, 1 land, and 1 non-foil double-sided token. And you know what? Let's make that token our spotlight card for 2 reasons. First, this slot now only contains tokens, because as WotC say, please note that play boosters no longer contain ad cards or art cards, which honestly I celebrate. I saw too many drafts or pre-releases where there just weren't enough tokens available, and putting the non-playable art cards into collector boosters where they can be collected makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is the continued price of those collector boosters, and I do feel bad for anyone who wants those art cards available at a reasonable cost and now has to pay higher prices to get them, but honestly that's more a problem with the existence of collector boosters than the decision to include more tokens in regular packs. The second reason I want to spotlight these lander tokens is I didn't talk about them in my previous video, and yeah, they're good. Mechanically they feel like something that's been a part of Magic forever, so to me they seem like a natural addition. Plus the fact you have to spend 2 and not just tap to activate the effect, and the land you fetch enters tapped means I don't think they're that busted either. I'm sure there's going to be some way to abuse them out there, but that's true of any mechanic. My only real criticism is I think these are so good, I wish they had a slightly more generic name so they could more easily fit into non-sci-fi sets. Like, what is a lander on Theros, for instance? I can't think of what the imagery that word would conjure outside of something that goes to the moon, so I don't know that it will fit. But that's only an issue because I think they're great and want to see them appear in more sets. A good problem to have. Pack 2. There's 2 cards here I could pick from for the same reason, but I'll go for the green one and say our spotlight card is Drix Fatemaker, for the reason that Drix is a new creature type added to the game. I like this too. I like when Magic uses specific names for specific races. There's a bunch of Drix in the set, and it's great because it's an example of WotC sticking to the fantasy tropes of Magic's roots like I talked about. I mean, sure, cephalids are technically octopi, so I can understand the urge to errata their creature type. And yes, Viashino are technically lizards, so I can understand the urge to errata them too. But it's less interesting when we do that. I mean, look at this guy. He could have just been given the existing alien creature type, but instead he's a Drix, and I think he's much cooler because of it. And also, focusing on the word for a moment, I additionally appreciate it's called Drix, and not something lazy like Starfolk or Spacekin. We get a lot of names like that in Magic, and while I'll take them over lumping sentient species in with the closest animal or theme they represent, I do appreciate the extra effort that's been taken here to make Drix their own thing. Very cool. Pack 3. Oh boy, of course. Well, we have our commander, and I should have expected it after what I said about it last video, but our spotlight card is Ragost Deft Gastronaut. It's been a couple of weeks, and I still don't like the name. Yes, I know Gastronaut is a thing, not just a pun, but come on, they put it in the Spaceman set. I don't believe for 1 second they didn't start with that pun, Gastronaut sounds like astronaut, and then design the card out from there. Enough of you commented saying a shrimp fried that rice that I refuse to accept that isn't exactly what the designers were thinking of when they made this card. As a commander, it's fine, but if it's the only one that we get in this scramble, I will be annoyed at the karma of it. Pack 4. Oh, okay. Okay, not just once, but twice in a pack. I guess fate has decided I talk about this too, but after I complained in the last video about Ragost, I got comments on our Spotlight card. Vote out. It's another dumb pun reference card, which I don't like, and I'm just going to say the same thing I said in the replies to those comments. Why would my creatures taking a vote on anything have any effect on any other player's creatures? That's like the English getting to vote in the next US election. Why not just have my creatures vote for me to win the game? Yes, I know that Magic doesn't always make sense when you put it in terms like that, Emrakul versus 15 squirrels, etc. But this is also an obvious Among Us reference, so it's drawing attention to the thematics of the card. And in inviting the flavour analysis in that way, I find the flavour wanting. It's bitter, I don't like it. But, unlike Find the Junction, these pun cards are few and far between in Edge of Eternities. And I actually think I might still be processing the residual annoyance from goddamn holy cow, and that sets avalanche of other pun and joke cards too, so... It's a process, guys, I'm healing, I am getting over it, and Edge of Eternities is definitely a step in the right direction, which is yet another reason why I like it. I guess vote out isn't that bad. Pack 5. Ooh, very nice. I know what our Spotlight card is already. It's Stomping Grounds, and this is a good card. For the uninitiated, it's a reprint of a powerful land, which is powerful as it enters untapped for the relatively low cost of paying 2 life. And it taps for your choice of 2 colours of mana, but retains the basic land types, in this instance mountain and forest. And that's good because if we compare it to the red-green dual land printed in the Edge of Eternity's Commander products, you'll notice that one doesn't have those land types, which is an important distinction because it means a card like Nature's Law from the set, which lets you search your library for a forest, couldn't be used to find Karplusian Forest, but could be used to find Stomping Grounds, making it much more flexible as now you can search your library for a land that generates not just green mana, but also red. I love seeing reprints like this in sets and cannot celebrate their inclusion enough here. Great stuff, Watsy. Pack 6. Okay, I think that's our first mythic, so I guess our Spotlight card is Weft Walking, which is expensive to cast, but that ability though? Shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library, then draw 7, sure. Then the first spell each player casts during each of their turns may be cast without paying its mana cost. Okay, I'm honestly not sure what to make of this card. It sounds to me like an expensive way to spend a turn only casting this, and it ensures your opponent gets to cast their biggest spell for free before you see any benefit. But maybe this is actually busted and has a lot of utility? I'm not really sure about this one, so let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think? Pack 7. And okay, I can see our Spotlight card already. Without question, it has to be Exalted Sunborn. Just purely because of that artwork. That is so gorgeous, especially in foil. Yeah, look at that shine. Dr. Hans, can you give it a shake for us? Thank you. Yeah, some of the art in this set is phenomenal. I hear maybe the angels were going to be given their own alien race named creature type like the Drix, but I actually don't mind them being angels as much because first, they're fictional anyway, and also I always find it fascinating to see how angels are represented on each plane. The theme is always consistent, but there's always differences between them, like how Zendikar's angels have multiple wings, and the cosmic colouring of these ones makes them feel distinctly from the edge. Big fan. Pack 8. Hey, well we have another red-white commander for our Scramble in the form of Sammy up there in the top right, but our Spotlight card is Alfariel Stonechosen. And since my last video, and now having started to listen to the narrative, I can safely say this character is now my favourite from the set. I don't have much more to say than that, to be honest, and even that may change in time, but for now, I'm really pleased to see it opened here. Pack 9. Oh, these packs have been so much fun to see opened, because our Spotlight card is Cosmogoyf, a classic callback to a classic card, and the exact type of reference I have time for. That flavour text is not a joke or a pun, but it is self-referential without breaking immersion. If you just read this on its own, it fits fully within the universe. But, famously, the original Lurgoyf had the flavour text, "Ach, Hans run, it's the Lurgoyf, Safi Eric's daughter, last words." And this new version reads, "Alert, Cosmogoyf recommended action, run PSX Eric's shipboard computer, final transmission." Pure charm, great stuff without overdoing it or spelling it out. Pack 10. Oh, well, look at that. Our Spotlight card is Cathedral of War, as it's one of the very rare Stellar Sight cards. These don't have the set symbol on them for some reason, which I find a very odd choice. Plus that font reminds me of the Armancare invocations in that I personally find it a little tricky to read. Yeah, I don't know about these cards. I think it's cool you can still find fancy alt arts in normal play booster packs, not just the collector boosters, but these ones in particular, I don't know if they do it for me. Don't get me wrong, the picture itself is very well done, that is some beautiful art. I'm just kind of put off by the frame, I think. Yeah, not for me. Pack 11. Or, you know what? Dr. Hands, can you zoom in on Grove of the Burn Willows? I know what I just said about the frame, but look at that artwork. Gorgeous. Now the Monoist Circuit feeder, please. Oh, look at the detail on the tentacles and that floating one in the background. Starfield Shepherd, please. Wow, again, do you see what I mean about the angels on the plane? They don't look like this anywhere else in the multiverse, and they're all gorgeous. Just a real excuse for the artist to let loose with the colours. Stellar Reclaimer, please. And it's another one in foil this time, and once again just absolutely stunning. This looks like it wouldn't be out of place in a gallery, inspiring and gorgeous. But let's zoom back out, because our spotlight card is the Swamp, for the exact same reason. Let's get a close-up on that too. Even just the basic non-full art land in this set is gorgeous, and the artists should all be commended. It's not every set that makes me sit up and appreciate the basic lands like this. Truly beautiful. I love them. Pack 12. There's once again another Sammy there for our Scramble, but that spotlight card isn't that 5-color commander that we needed because we never found one. Instead, it's the Eternity Elevator, a different spacecraft but one that's colorless. A card with the potential to be very good like I said in my last video, but not what we needed right now, so like I predicted, I think our Commander Scramble may be in trouble. And that is all 12 packs, and I won't waste your time here because I think we all know where this is going. We only found 3 commanders. Dr. Hands, that's 4 cards, mate. Oh, I see. No, the Eternity Elevator isn't legal as a commander. Yeah, I know it's a legendary artifact spacecraft which now can legally be your commander, but not that one because it couldn't be a creature. See, if you look bottom right, it doesn't have a power or toughness, and yeah, I know there are ways to turn it into a creature or give it a power and toughness, but it's still not legal. Yeah, it is confusing, I agree, and especially for a new player, I imagine. But I tell you what, I'll let you rule 0 it next time we play if you like. But for now, 3 commanders, thank you, 2 of which share the same colour identity, and the third is only a monocolor. Oh man, I doubt we have enough cards. But hey, let's start with my boy. Dr. Hands, can you show me how many black cards we've opened, please? 20 in total. Considering, like I said at the start, we need 63 unique cards to make up a legal deck, we are going to need an awful lot of colourless cards to make up that difference. Dr. Hands, if you would. 7 in total. Yeah, that was never going to happen, was it? But if we switch to, I guess, Ragost as our commander, we can add these 7 colourless cards to whatever we pulled in white and red, and maybe make a deck that way? White cards, if you will, please. 19. Ouch. That's even less than the number of black cards we got. But at least being 2 colours, we have red to fall back on. Dr. Hands. Okay, 22 is a bit more like it, so if we add the red, the white and the colourless cards together, we're looking at a total of 48. We are 15 cards short, but we haven't looked at the multicolour cards yet. I would assume the chance of us having 15 of them is slim, but... yeah, of course, only 5 cards in total and not a single one of them is red-white. Well, I saw it coming, but that makes this Commander Scramble a fail. Here's what we've got of the deck still though. And like I said, I actually am glad we haven't succeeded here because I do think WotC's focus shouldn't be on Commander anyway. As a set, it feels like Edge of Eternities has less legendaries in it overall than the recent average, which is good for limited environments and makes for better gameplay during things like draft and pre-release. But honestly, I also just feel a little burnt out after the sheer number of would-be commanders added to the game with Final Fantasy. I mean, yes, this set still had a couple of potential 5-color commanders in it, but I still feel like Edge of Eternities is overall a step in the right direction for many different aspects of the game. Don't get me wrong, Edge of Eternities has its issues, like the power level, which in itself I believe might still be an indication WotC are targeting commander players with the product. And also apparently there's been some production quality control problems with the set, though I'll admit I've not experienced any myself, or at least none that I've noticed. And if given the choice, I maintain I still would not have had a space opera be a theme Magic would have ever explored. But for what the set is, I think it does it well. I'm impressed with what I've read of the narrative so far. I like the art, I like the tone, I like the mechanics, I like the Dricks, just in the fact that they have a name makes me want to learn more about them. I like the subtle references, admittedly not the ones that are just pointing out a thing and saying, hey, remember Among Us, but the ones that don't break your immersion and reward a player's investment in the game. Though we still have some cards getting dangerously close to pun territory, looking at you, Station Monitor. And after I praised the recent Tarkir set, some of you said I was being overly forgiving of the set's flaws simply because it wasn't a hat set and wasn't a Universes Beyond set. And yeah, maybe I'm doing that here too. And I know I have a reputation for being a hater, but honestly, I don't ask for perfection. My bar for success isn't that high. I just want Magic to feel like Magic. And the bar has been so low lately for so long that maybe I am just desperate for a win. But whether Edge of Eternities is worthy of the praise I'm giving it or not objectively, all I can say for now is, good job Wizards, I like this one. If sets like this are a new trend, then I'm pleased to see things moving in that direction. Yes, I will still strive for things to get better. Yes, I'd still like to see a return to blocks. Yes, I am adamant that the price per pack is too high. But for today, I'm happy to call this set a rare win. Edge of Eternities rocks. And that's the Scramble. Would you play this deck? Should I have used Sammy as the commander instead? And what cards would you add from the rest of the set to make it function? Come support me on Patreon, I need your help to continue bringing you videos like this. Link in the description. And what are your thoughts on Edge of Eternities? Let me know in the comments if you think I've been too generous with my praise. It doesn't even make sense. If it was an enchantment maybe where everyone got a vote each round, but as a sorcery? Like a wizard would cast? Nonsense. Thank you very much for watching this video, and thank you to everyone that supports me, like 27 publications, Eggboy the Particle that permeates all existence, Blank Space, Wan Paco Jozu, Miss Murder, a random Patreon, and the rest of my patrons whose names are on screen now. I'd also like to thank the sponsor for this video, me and my Patreon page, where you can get your name credited on screen too. Check it out in the link in the description below. Hit the like button, leave a comment, install an ad block, and most importantly subscribe and share this video with a friend. Hit the notification bell and do all those things the algorithm loves. If you agree or disagree with any of my points, or you want to see me do a video on another subject, let me know and I will see you next time.